Go. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Hawkeye trading session. This is Monday, November 9th. We're going to be going to about 9:30 this morning. And trading the foreign exchange on margin carries a high level of risk and may not be suitable for all investors. The high degree of leverage can work against you as well as for you. Before deciding to invest in the foreign exchange, you should carefully consider your investment objective, level of experience, and risk appetite. The possibility exists that you could sustain a loss of some or all of your initial investment, and therefore you should not invest money that you cannot afford to lose. You should be aware of all the risks associated with the foreign exchange trading and seek the advice of an independent financial advisor if you have any doubts. Again, this is the Hawkeye trading session. We'll be going to about 9:30. This is a live trading room. This is for educational purposes only. No financial advice or recommendation will be provided. Any trade taken during this live session is not a recommendation or a suggestion that you should also do the same. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Do not trade money that you cannot afford to lose. Before trading live, always operate with a written trade plan that identifies the rules for entries, exits, targets, and risk management. And the last alert we had was at 7:30 this morning. It was the Aussie US with a descending wedge. And let's go to the charts.
Yeah, we needed to pull back probably pretty significantly if we were to take it, um, because we definitely missed that one.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where so many times these alerts, you almost have to be right here when the alert happens, or else it
Mm-hmm.
starts getting right out of the chute. But this is what we had. We had the alert. I put the alert here on the, it should be yellow line. Let me see. I don't think it's quite yellow yet, but let's make it yellow. There's the yellow line. This is where the alert was at 7:30. 7:30 we went. Right there on that one. And basically we had this strong move up. We had this little wedging area right here. This is really what this is a rally. It's basing and it's going to probably rally again, but it's got to get through this red zone. This supply zone right here, I have in the red box, that comes all the way over here off to the left. Let me go to a higher time frame so we can see where it is. And this is probably back, I think it was October 1st, where around this area. So this was right at, here's the high. This is right at September 16th. This high right here is pretty much where this thing, it looks like it's going to be headed to. We had a move up. We had a strong move down, came back, retested this zone, came back, and it hasn't seen it. It hasn't revisited again until just about now, where we're looking at. It's right in that box. So this could be, but this is where the alert was at. Let me take this one off. This one doesn't count. This is the alert at 7:30 this morning. And I said it had a nice, it broke out of a range from the last couple of days. And I'm sure a lot of this has to do with and you can see probably a lot of real volatility with the US dollar today. Right now, this thing's showing that the dollar is pretty weak. And it's probably going to be one of the, well, right now, let's see, this 15-minute is showing strength there. Why is that? This is contrary to what we're looking at, what we're seeing here. There you go. That looks a little better. The Aussie US, the Aussie strong by 7 to a factor of 7 to 2 on the 15. So it does have Aussie strength. I'd say it's probably more so US dollar weakness. And I think a lot of this is going to be a reaction to the election results over the weekend that was announced over the weekend. So just be real careful with the dollar and anything else you trade, at least for maybe next today anyway, at least for the when the market opens up, you're going to see probably a lot of volatility again as well. But anyway, this is a rally. It's spacing. It's probably going to come on up. I would not be surprised to see it come up into this area. If I draw the trend line extension, I'm looking at, here's the bottom, here's the top of the move, came back down, pulled back to the bottom of where I drew the wedge. And right up here is going to be your, well, it's pretty much right there now. It's pretty much hit the one-to-one retracement up to this area. This would be the area that we're looking at, that it would be a target from a rally-based rally. And it'll probably pull back, probably wait for a significant pullback and then see about maybe taking the trade if you want to. And I said this area up here where these two yellow lines are, that would be where I would consider where this thing's probably going to go. And that again is coming from this high that was generated back in September, the beginning of September. This is a daily chart. This is the wick of that daily chart. Here's the body of the candle. This is the origin of this big down move. Here's where we are right now. Once it breaks through this wick right here, we're looking at possibly taking this whole run on up to this would be the first area that it would be looking at right in here. So that's still, I mean, that's another 100, almost 100 pips, 73 to 70. That's another 50 pips, 40, 50 pips above where it is right now. So it does have some room to the upside, but be very careful because it could very well retrace on us. This is the first reaction move, so be careful with it. I'm going to go back to my 15-minute chart. We'll go ahead and we'll tweak the wedge. And we're going to put this on see where this, I drew the wedge with the pivot high. It was a descending wedge, so this would be really where the wedge was before the alert. And it broke, you can see where it broke, and it's coming on up. So it's like I said, it's pretty much out of the chute. The best thing you can do right now would be maybe looking for the retracement back to the wedge and maybe see if you can get another little pop coming in. But that's pretty much it. Said I don't want to take this thing right now. Perhaps if it breaks out of the top here, if it gets another little wedge here and looks to break out of the top with the strength, with the dollar strength or with the Aussie strength, you may have something there. That's about the only analysis I have with that. Matt, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I'm just waiting for it to pull back. If it comes back and retests the top of the wedge, then I take it. If it doesn't, then I'm not in there.
Yeah. Would you say would you flat top the top of this?
I would, Al. I would ignore what the alert specifically said and just make a flat top and potentially look at that. But
yeah. When
here we're getting pretty close to retesting the top of the wedge that way, so I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know if I like that.
When I drew this initially, I just put a flat top on the top. It broke there right up. But that, again, remember, this is a supply zone right here.
Yeah.
So the wedge itself is pretty much down here, but there really wasn't any. In fact, you could probably maybe even move this thing down a little bit lower and flat top it down this area. Might make a little bit more sense, just because it said it was a descending wedge, but this was a strong high, strong low. Here's a high, here's a low, here's a lower high, here's a higher low. So you could almost argue the fact of using this blue candle right here as your wedge confinement of the wedge.
Hey, Al, look for a bounce at 73.21. Between 73.21 and 73.18.
Yep, I have the flat top of the wedge. I have it's yeah. I see what you're looking at here.
Yeah. So if it comes down and does that, that would be pretty significant for me.
So maybe take a long on it.
Potentially.
Let me see. Let me get my other chart up here.
I'm just that's what I'm looking at.
Let's see, Aussie, US.
We don't really have any other alerts, do we?
We had one US Swiss at 6:15, I believe it was.
Oh, okay, let me go play around with that a bit. I think there might be something. But I think you're right. There's going to be a lot of blood in the water when market opens. So unless we have a nice clean setup, nice I'm getting a bounce off the top of my flat top wedge.
Let's see. This is I'm trying to look at another chart on this that might give us some clue about which way this thing may go.
Yeah, no, I would only be still looking for the pullback. Here would be a very aggressive buy. Actually, I'm going to put an alert here. I'm going to try something because this might work.
We had a strong move up, and here it's starting to wedge again. We got a little bit right here is the top of this blue candle. It's made a little bit of a higher high, pulled back. I'd say this is a little bit of an area right now where it's starting to. I'm gonna just take this thing up to. We'll see how high that C point goes, and we'll see if this thing will hold. I'd probably rather have this thing kind of have a little bit of a box here right now, because we're not sure if this could be a 3-wave pullback to where the original alert came in, which was right about this area right here. This is the candle before where we had the alert, this blue candle. I'm going to draw a box. I'm going to draw a box around that candle. Is that's a range where the breakout occurred. So in other words, it came down lower, came back up, based again, and then it took off. And now the question is, does it come back into this area, this little area right in here? Is it going to come back and retest that area to see if there's if it left any of its buddies behind before it takes off again? And so I'm going to, let's do this be just a range box here. And we have, I'm going to extend this a little bit. I'm just going to extend this wedge here. Now it's already broken. I'm just going to sort of see if we can follow this up a little bit with another higher trend. So this was oops, wrong one. I'll take this one on up. A, B, C.
Here we're going to get that pullback.
What we're looking for is lower highs and higher lows, or higher highs and higher lows is what we're looking at for right now to see if this thing's going to start to trend in the upper direction and how far up is it going to go. We don't know where that C is going to end up, and we don't know where the D is going to end up. But right now, if it breaks pulls back, if it gives us a reason to go long, we could possibly maybe grab a little bit in here. But we're going to have some problem. We have to get through this red zone. It could come right up here, just tag it, break it, and give us a little head fake to come on short. All of our RSIs are up. They're already up high, and we're looking for. Well, ideally, what I'd like to see the 8-period RSI stay up near this 75 area, and then see this blue one come back, pull back, hook, and then that may give us an opportunity to maybe get a few pips to the upside. It depends on how far back it pulls back off this where the C is right now. We're still looking to see where that's going to end. And this could have just been the head fake to the upside to where now it breaks this area, right? This is the area where if it comes back up and breaks the bottom of this box, we may be wanting to go short to catch it on this where this strong move came up, and then see where it comes back down into this area for a target area if it can break through the bottom. But there's a lot of support down here at the bottom. This is the origin of that move right in here. So right now we have it broke the top. Could be a head fake, could be a continuation. We don't know which way it's going to go. So if you don't have a good feel for it, you just stay out of the trade. This is the area. This was the last demand zone where this thing moved from. Now again, this is on a 15-minute chart, so don't keep that all in mind. We're looking at. We had to go all the way to a daily chart to find these zones. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens with it. Don't be in a hurry. Monday morning, there's going to be I think there's going to be a lot of volatility in the markets this morning, and we're not really sure which way it's all going to go. And let's see.
I'm just working on a couple setups as we're speaking, so we'll see if we can get something that's high probability.
You see it's coming right back down into this area where this move originally came, where the wedge was broken. It came back up. Let's see how
Yeah.
pips, how many pips this thing went up. It went from here to here. That was a 24 pip move.
20.
That's
Yeah.
a pretty strong move.
Yep. It's that's a good move.
But like I said, you have had to have been right here when you had the alert in order to get onto that. And if you didn't, where were you going to get? Where would you get in? There's no way. This is the first retracement to possibly get back in again. But
Yeah.
now the question is it going to punch out of the bottom of the other side? We're starting to get the moving average flips over here on the 1 minute chart. You can see where we got the cross of the 5 and the 13 is coming and bouncing off of these. So you're getting some consolidation right here between all three of these moving averages on the 1 minute chart. So you have to be very, very careful with this. And if you look at just this range right now over there, you're looking at 14 pips. So that was it went up 21 pips, came back. It now it's retraced 14 pips, another 14 pips just in this little zone right here. So it went up 21 pips.
That's a lot of movement, Al.
Yeah,
That's a lot of movement on a 1 minute chart.
Yeah, and we're talking within 7:30, within the last 45 minutes.
Al?
Yes.
There's a question from Beach Panda. He's asking on the M15, why are you only going back in history to the recent alert as opposed to further in identifying previous S and B
supply demand zones?
Set up to short.
Why am I only going back in history to the recent alert?
There's no higher swing on the 15 minute than where we're at.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, this was the Sunday. This was Sunday night's action. This was a high for Sunday. Actually, this is Monday morning now. This was Sunday's. Actually, this was Friday's. So we have here's Monday, Sunday, and Monday. This I believe is Friday the 6th, and you see where if I look at this. Let me change it level. Let me go all the way across here to trying to find my. Here we go. That's what I'm looking for. This one. If you go, this is the high. This was basically the Monday, the overnight high, and you see that it made a new high from, and it hasn't broken that high till you go all the way back here. You keep on going back and keep going back, and you'll see that this is where this move came from. So this is as high as it's been. It hasn't, the Friday and Monday highs weren't, it has never been to that high until way back here in September. And this is where that price came from. And now it's just finally, it took Friday and Monday before it ever got back up to this level. Well, now we had the alert, and now the alert took it on up to, this is be the next high. This is the area where this big strong moves came from. You can see all these wicks right here. We had some price up, came back down. This was the high, broke the high, came back down. This is our ABC retracement. So you have, if you look at the wave on this thing, here was your high. Here's your high, here is your low, here is your next high, came back down, here's your X, here's A, B, C, came back, retested the high. And from there, it was Katie bar the doors. Here they go. Here it goes, and just made it start. And now it's starting the trend from a high to a low, a lower high, higher low. Here's the wedge right in this area, and then it broke, and it never came back. It never looked back until this was as far as. And this was back in beginning of October. Dropped down some more, and now we're at the point now where it's coming back to retest this high. But once it gets up here, which is pretty much where this is right now, into this red zone, this is as high as it's been back in September. So there's really nothing, there have been no price retracements up until since September to where it is right now. And that's why we have to use this as our reference. And we had to go all the way back, almost 2 months in order to get to find that. Does that answer your question?
Panda, we missed you, man. It's great to have you back, by the way.
Hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, thank you, he says.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good to have you back.
Yeah. And I said, once it gets through this area, you can see where it's going to have some trouble getting through this area, because this was a high way back in September. But if it does break this, the next high area is up here where I have these yellow boxes. So, and that's still another 25 pips above where we are right now. And right now as you're looking at, this is on let me get back on a 15-minute chart here. So you see it came right up in here. There were still some sellers left here waiting to be filled from way back in September. The orders were just sitting there. So there are some sellers here that are saying, okay, once it gets up here, I'm going to take this thing short again. And that's why you're getting this strong pullback. Now the question is going to be, is there enough sellers up here to keep driving the market back down even lower? Or are these guys going to give it up and say, okay, I'm going to put my next sell orders up here. If this thing breaks, there's going to be some more sellers up in this area. And between here and here, it may be pretty clear sailing. But it's got to get through this area first. And the fact that this was basing right around where that median level was, a lot of times you'll see a strong move. You'll see the basing, and then you'll see it come back and break through. And this is where that Fibonacci retracement line comes in. We have the strong candle up, all the way up here. Here was the retracement back to where the bottom of where this red candle is, and then we do this a lot where we come and say, and the target is going to be between the 78.6 and the 1-to-1 range box, which is, as you see where this thing pulled back to from here to here. Again, this would be a target zone. And you can see if I remove all this charting here, you'll see it didn't quite make it into that area, but it came darn close. It came within 73.42 it came within 2 pips of that target zone. And then it pulled back. It was rejected. And now we're right back to where the wedge was to begin, where we had the wedge alert. Now the question is going to be so this is the, see if we can probably take this one off here. So this is the candle before the alert was generated. Came back up. Now it's coming right back into. Now the question is, are there still buyers down here in this area to run it back up to retest the sell area? And that's really what the question is. And quite frankly, I don't know the answer to that. It's not giving me. I do think that there is a possibility. Let me just check something here. I think what we could possibly be seeing with this is that we had the strong move up. This may be given that ABC retracement. Here's the high, come back down here to the C, come back up here a little bit, give us another little high, come back down here, break out, retest the bottom, and then go up and retest the top. So this thing could be the range. It could be staying in this range for a good part of the day today. If we were to, I'm looking for a trend line, for the bottom trend line on this. We really haven't determined that yet. Here's a little strong move up. Here's a little flag. Here's a little rally, basing, rally again. We do have a trend going in this direction from here to here. Again, we're looking at higher time frames to find out where these trends are. Here's the low, here's the anchor, here's the hit, not confirmed. I won't count this red candle here as a hit. That's all part of this down move. So I'll move this over here. I'm going to give this just a trend, not confirmed. I could very easily see this price coming down, retesting this to confirm this trend line, and then continue its move on up. If we look at the upper trend line, it was flat, flat, flat. Here's where it broke to the new high. So we can be looking at the higher trend line. Here's our anchor. That's where it broke. Here's the high. And it made an, now this one, I would still consider, I mean, this would be where we had an anchor, a hit. Now this is where we're right in the area now where this trend line is being challenged right here. But you also have the supply zone up. So right now, this is the area where I'm looking at that is trading in this. If I were to extend the box, I'd be looking at this area from here on up to the high. And now the question is, where is it going to go from here? We could start with this anchor down here. Now, this hasn't been confirmed, but if this thing if you start with this and you take your trend line, move to the bottom, move to the top of, I'll say where the box is, in your retracement, again, we're pretty much right in our 78 to 1 area. So this is, from this area, you're expecting a somewhat of a pullback. I can take it from where we had the hit, strong move up, bring it over here to where the high was or is, bring it back down to see how far it retraces. And if it retraces back down to like from the bottom of this blue candle, or even this box area, then the next little push may be right up here to this area. But like I said, it's going to have to get through this red supply zone first. We don't know where this thing's going to pull, how far this thing's going to pull back. We do know this is the last high. And we know that right now it's basing. Now the question is, where is it going to go? This trend was broken, which was once resistance, is now demand. And so right now we have this point right here. Yes, Eva.
He's asking a couple of questions here. He says, what's the ADR for this pair that we might be led to think that the Aussie US is going to be range bound? And he's also asking, can you use a stick to illustrate the potential range off the supply area?
Let's see, the ADR, what's it? Let me see, let me read this thing, see what it says here. What's the ADR?
Oh, average daily range.
Oh, average daily range of this. Well, let me look. I can find out here.
With the true range.
The average, I'll put it on daily chart. I actually have that here.
Oh yeah, I remember you told me you
average,
have
average true range on a daily chart. We're looking at right now it's 80 pips. Looks like the average daily range is. That was the rest of the question here.
Are you reading it, or should I read
it? Yeah, I'm reading it here. Let's see. Okay, yeah, we can draw a stick on this and see what. Let me take this off of here right now. Let me go back to our 15-minute chart, and let's see if we draw the wedge and the stick. Now the alert was a descending alert, but I'm not going to I'm going to use the stick off of this wedge here. We have the rally. Here's the base. So I'm going to use this potential low right now. I'll move this up. This is ascending wedge right now. But if you're looking at the range from this, I would be using I'd probably use this D to the trend line. So if I draw a stick with that. I'll flatten this out, make this vertical, come over here to line up with the D, put my bottom of the stick here at the bottom of this trend line, and I'm going to snap it up to the top of the D. And then if it breaks out of this range, we'd be looking at wherever it breaks to the target of, guess where? My first yellow line. And so we're on a 15-minute chart. Let's move this. We have our upper trending wedge here. Now the question is it going to break out? Here's where the alert was. This was the candle before the alert. So this was an inside candle, which is this red candle was engulfing the blue candle. This blue candle was engulfing the red candle. So basically here's where the wedge, I can see where the wedge sort of was generated. And right now it's testing. Now we have a trend line from the AC trend line, which is basically it's an unvalidated trend line, but it's looking like it's being tested right as we speak. So I'm going to take, this is on a 15-minute chart, take it over to here. Unconfirmed trend. This is an unconfirmed trend. We can put this one over to the top of that. This is where it pulled back. So right now, this is the range it's trading in. I'd like to see a break out of the top of here, and then we'd be looking to heading up in that direction. If it breaks out of the top, we've got 35 pips to the length of this stick, which is not bad. Let's go to our 1 minute chart and see if we can get the crossover. We're starting to get a look at the end of this pullback, which is right here on our 1 minute chart. We're showing strength to the upside. This could be if it breaks. This is the top of the wedge. This is our higher time. This is where our higher time frame wedge is, the orange one. We're starting to get the cross of all the moving averages. Everything's still in the right direction on all three charts, bouncing off the bottom.
Hey Al, I gotta restart my computer. It's acting funny.
Okay.
It shouldn't take more than 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
Okay. As we get the crossover of the 5, the 13, and the 62 with some strength to the upside, this could be a potential trade right here, but it's aggressive because you're still inside this. Now this red supply zone has been penetrated pretty much all the way to the upper 25% of the zone. So I would still be looking at, there might be, just the fact it's pulled back from this area, it would probably go up and retest this area, maybe not even quite that high. So I'd be looking at this D area as a potential, if you did take this thing with this crossover, I'd be looking at this would be the first target, which would be right about up in this area right in here. That's the 73.40. It's 73.26. You could get your 7 pips out of this move if it comes back up. But again, this could be your A, B. This could be the first, this would be like leg 1, leg 2, and then you have another leg to the bottom. Again, we're looking at this little area right here where this is a engulfing candle. Let me draw that box again here. They're right around this candle that got broken. Came back down into this area to retest this. Got the crossovers. This would be a very aggressive trade to take it on here, but it could be a possibility. Remember, it's coming out of this zone. This could be, like I said, off of this 1 minute chart. You could be looking at this as be the first move, A2, and then get a lower. I'm looking at this as a possibility of where this move may go here, from here to here. Come back down, make a lower low, break out of the bottom, give us another whipsaw, and then to come up and retest this area. And then you would have a trend from a new trend developing from the upside.
Beach Panda asks, with the strengths of the Aussie so obvious on the M1 and the M5, perhaps this is a strong weight signal?
A strong weight signal? Oh, yeah, strong weight signal, yeah.
Okay.
right now we're seeing a couple of different trends developing here. We have this bottom one that hasn't been confirmed yet from where the breakout was off the trend line, coming back down to retest this area right in here. If you even look like from, when you have these waves, even a higher time frame wave will usually incorporate 3 or 4 waves from the lower time frame. This is your 1 minute, so this is about as low as we ever look. But if you look at this move right here from where the high was off that after the alert, we had our, and this is from an Elliott wave standpoint. Here's wave 1, wave 2, here's wave 3, here's wave 4, and here's wave 5. I'd like to see it come back down and test this off of this wave 5, and then this is your wave. I'm be looking at this as a, and again, this is, it varies depending on what time frame you're looking at, but here would be a wave 1 or A, B, C to retest. And if it retests this, we should perhaps get a bounce off of this to maybe retest the D level or retest this trend line here. So right now we're looking at, this is our area that we're looking at possibly. Here's that zone where we had that candle that broke when we got the trend line, and broke it right here off of this range, came right back into this range, have a little bit of a pullback. Let's see how our RCS tool is doing. It's still showing some, this is the 1 minute, it's getting a little bit of, showing a little bit of the pullback on the dollar. But the Aussie is still strong here. Let me take this off, we don't need this anymore. And we have the still strength to the Aussie by 3. Again, I'd still be looking at this as more of a pullback than a reversal right now. I'll take all this stuff off. And we wait. This is, like you said, this is a strong wait time.
So Beach Panda says, I think I know why I like FX so much. It's like sailing. Everything is always nebulous and changing. Prepare for everything in advance and wait.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
You are getting a little bit of a secondary, little, I mean, it's just, it's right now, it's just kind of came back down, retested this area. I would like to see it come back down here a little bit more, get a little bit more to the retest this, get some confirmations on some of these trend lines. But here we had the cross, the upside didn't really go too far. Here was where this was a stronger move down where we had the cross of the moving averages, came back up, crossed again, short pull up. Now we have a lower high. So here's our high, low, higher high, higher low. Now from this area we have a lower high, but we still have a higher low here. This is testing this. This is either going to validate it or it's going to break it. Now from this area, I'd be looking, if I'm looking at a trend extension, we have our D, we have our B, oops, there we go. We have the high, we had the low, we had the pullback. We have that direction, and that would take it more to the short side, but I think it's more, the fact there's more momentum, I would be more apt to go with the other direction. That's probably what I want to do in the first place. Go from here's a low, here's a high, here's a pullback. Pullback 61% of this move. And then it's come up, the target's going to be below the D, which is going to be right up in this area, if it's reversing.
All right, I'm back.
We haven't missed much other than a lot of indecision.
Oh, okay.
We had a strong move down, came back up, retraced 61% of this move, and now it's basing again. Still has not retested this trend line here. This one's being tested. It was a little wicked up. Again, this is coming right back into that area where we had the alert in the very first place, into this range. It came back down, just tagged it right in here. I still think this thing's favoring the long side.
Yeah, it took much longer than I anticipated to reset my computer. I'm having some problems.
This is the third hit of this trend line, and now this came out. It
Oh,
broke
that's
it.
interesting.
Yeah, so we have a little bit of a wedge right in this area, right at where the original alert was.
You got a cross there too. Look at the moving averages separate.
Yep, right here.
Mm-hmm. That's a good sign.
Here's where they crossed to the downside.
Yeah.
Pulled back up, crossed again, came back, crossed again, and now this is the area where I'm thinking it's going to be. If it can break through the top of this, we may have room to the upside.
Yeah, that might be nice.
Yeah, this might be a nice little move here. I'm not seeing this thing giving it up to the short side yet.
I think there's too much upward pressure for that to happen right now.
I think so too. Right now, I'd be looking at buying the pullbacks as opposed to buying the breakouts.
Oh yeah, try not to get the. People need to not try and get the tops or the bottoms, generally. Pullbacks are good.
So in the Q&A, we've got, if the Aussie US is not reversing, then don't look at the RCS.
If it's not reversing, don't look at the, yeah, right now it's, and we're still showing strength to the Aussie. If we look at all three time frames, we're looking at a 6, a spread of 3, spread of 4, spread of 4. It's showing strength to the Aussie. The Aussie could still come up to if this can get up to a 7 on the 15, that just means it's going to have more upward pressure. I do like this cross here right now. This is our little ABC pullback. This could be the beginning of the next move up, next impulse move. An impulse move, we had a pullback, and now this could be the next. And each impulse move is going to be usually a 5 wave of an impulse. This could be wave 1, wave 2. The next one could be wave 3, which would be up here. Usually wave 3 is stronger than wave 1 and 2. 1, here's 2. Here would be wave 3 coming on up this way, put back 4, and then it goes up higher to wave 5. And I put this one down just a little bit below where the D is here. If it breaks the D, it's probably going to be going up higher after a pullback.
It's still moving a lot, Al.
Yeah,
like that's some big 1 minute candles. It's on fire, actually.
Don't have a close above here yet.
No, but you got a nice cross here, Al.
Yeah.
And it
and this is starting to spread a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Beach Panda says, as soon as Al said if the RCS hits 15, then expect buying pressure. 3 seconds later it hit, then pulled back. Al seems to be a market clairvoyant.
Yeah, don't I wish?
Yeah, it's only yeah, we'll figure that out, Christine. There's another 5 pips, Al.
Yep.
These are some massive candles.
I'll say this is basically a 21 pip move, retraced the full 21 pips back into our area, pulled back out, came back, retested it. I think it's going to be, I mean, we could just, you start seeing this W being formed right here. Comes up the end of the W, it could come up this way to break the D and then pull back, or come out short of the D and then pull back. Either way, I think it's going to be testing the D.
Matt, there's a question for you in the Q&A.
Yes. Oh, it's an additional confirmation with the pitchforks, Beach Panda. It's just another type of confirmation. And yes, if you do put a pitchfork on the appropriate swing, and then you see a cross of the 5, 13, and 62 all at the same moment, they bounce off of the bottom of the pitchfork. It's a very high probability move. So yeah, there is synergies there. But I absolutely love the 1362 cross. Just absolutely love it.
Which is we got right here.
Yeah.
is you have all these moving averages are all right here where this 2 is. This is all consolidated, and now you got everything crossed over in the right direction, going back up again. This is a real consolidation point right here.
So pitchforks are going to be your trend lines on steroids. So I'm going to draw one here, and I'll see what we can figure out. So you go from swing high to swing low to swing high, or swing low to swing high to swing low. And depending on Give me a second.
And this gave us validation on this bottom trend line right here with this blue cane. It came right down to that, and it just bounced right off. Now, it could still break, but I do feel like it confirmed that there was some buyers that came in right on this trend line.
Yeah, you can tell big money is at play with the amount of movement in price and stuff. It's just, I heard that it takes a couple $2 billion to actually move the market in the way that we just saw.
Beach Panda is asking if Matt can share his screen for a moment while he's looking for the confirmations with the pitchfork.
Oh, sure.
I'll stop sharing.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Let me know when you're ready.
Just setting it up. I'm good to go.
There you go. You got it.
Cool. So let's take a look. So what I was doing is I was looking at this wedge. So I did a wedge. I drew it on the higher time frame. I never lined it up as much as I usually like to, but let's go see something real quick. That's the wrong one. Here, we'll change the color because I got too much white on there. Let's put it yellow. Not yellow. Aqua. Same color. Let's go red. And then I'm going to fix it up a little bit just so there's not so many lines. So what I was looking at, you see we have a interesting thing here where we got a trend line and then we got a trend line bounce and a moving average bounce. And let me see if I can maybe line this up just a little bit better. Maybe we'll get a bounce over here or something. Okay. Here. You see, this is where we got the alert, more or less. And then we broke out over here. So as we had this line of resistance, so the overall, what I did is I put the pitchfork from this swing low to this swing high, and then I lined it up with this hit here, and this is close enough for me. So 1, 2, 3, boom, that's the third hit, and then you have the cross here right on this line. So still not amazing. Let me see if I can watch the chat more. And then I don't know if Al has this wedge here on his charts, but this is a wedge. And here's that potential stick. Are we going down? I don't know. But if it does, it has a high probability that it's going to hit this target right here. So let's see. Because we know that this is a hit, this is a hit, and this is a hit. And these are big wicks, right? It's not a whole bunch of wicks like this. It's one big wick that tags that trend line. So I like this. That's a good question, Beach Panda. I don't know if it's a couple $1 billion on leverage or actual cash. I believe it's leveraged, but it's still a significant amount of money to even move the markets during market open. But it also depends, like if you're talking about trading the Euro US during the New York session, well, it's going to take significantly more money to move the markets than it is to trade Euro US in the Asian session. If you want to move the market, and I looked that up because it's actually funny. Sometimes you're on some chats and stuff, and you're looking at what people say, and they're like, "Oh yeah, well, your demo account doesn't move the market." And I was like, "Yeah, you're kind of right, but if you think your live account is going to move the market, you're in the wrong game, because your live account, unless you've got a couple $1 million in your trading account, you're not touching the market. You're not moving it one pip." So we're just going to wait and see if this pans out. So from that wedge, there's a 75% chance that it's going to go the length of that stick from the breakout. I can show you the potential stick that was here. This might work. It might not. If it doesn't, no big deal. So here it didn't make it. It didn't make it to the stick, but it made it to the trend line on the pitchfork that was lined up here. So, and halfway to the stick is a higher probability than the full stick. And that's a really big move. So the wicks are actually pretty significant. Candles are big today. So let's see. So it's breaking out. It's coming back up to the bottom, and it might retest the bottom of the wedge. So where we had all of this resistance could become support. Yeah. It's not 100% Beach Panda, the math, but it was very, when I went and looked at it, I thought it was very interesting, because the reality is that a trader like us is not going to be moving the market. You need to be a speculator. You need to be like George Soros. You need to have a lot more than a couple $1,000s in your trading account to be able to make any impact on moving price, especially on these highly traded currency pairs. If you're trading something like that not a lot of people are trading, then maybe it's a different story. But central banks have a money button, and when they push it, market moves. So if they want to force price into a different direction, then they just hit the money button. I guess me and a trading buddy used to call it the bank hitting the money button, and it just goes. Like, it doesn't matter what any speculator or anything says. If central bank says we're going in that direction, then it's going in that direction. Oh, thanks, Beach Panda. Like I said, I've worked for J.P. Morgan Chase for a couple years, not as an investor or nothing, but I do understand quite a bit about the way markets can be moved in one way or another. So, yeah, my background is in banking. Okay, yeah, I am well acquainted with the Lehman Brothers. I believe J.P. Morgan bought them for pennies on the dollar when the whole mess went down. Let's see. So it didn't go to the stick. It kind of pulled back, failed to meet this moving average, and it's separating. So if it's not going there, then it has to go out the other side. But because this wasn't a really strong trend line, and I like this trend line better, right?
It is starting to challenge my D point where I was, which is at the 73.40 area. It's just about
this
there.
This is a better wedge. Sometimes we need to adjust the trend lines a little bit so we get a better compliance with it. But I like this. I really like this. See how we're breaking out? We got a gap between the 13 and 62.
Yep. The gap is nicely, and the 5 and 13 just came down. The 5 never crossed the 13.
Exactly. Exactly.
As long as that doesn't happen, that's a good way to be looking at it to the upside.
And you see the pitchfork here. The target is right at the pitchfork. You think that's ironic? You know, it's at the top of that line. So this could be here. We'll see what happens.
Just remember, markets have to breathe, and they don't go in a straight line.
No, they don't. But especially, like, these are big moves. These are big 1 minute candles.
Yeah, they really are.
These are alarming. Really want to delete that. Yes. I was exploring some things. So I've got a lot of alerts that are just let's see if there's a faster way. Oh, I've got let's delete them all.
We'll see what this thing does as it hits that 73.40 level and see if it breaks through the top of that. If it can break through the top of that and the 73.44 level, this thing could go significantly higher.
73.40? Right.
So, yeah, 73.40. Right now it's at 73.37. And we're only 3 pips
away
from,
right here.
From where the D target is. Yep.
Oh, yeah. This could be interesting, Al.
I'm seeing this thing could go significantly higher still today. Or Aussie still hasn't hit the number 7 level, but I'd be more apt to think there it goes. It just hit 7 on the 15-minute.
Yeah. Well, that might be a great sign.
And if those RSIs can stay up at the upper part, that'd be part of the snaking that we'd be looking at. Although it just came up right below where that moved down, where that D was, where it came down. It went up within 1 pip of that, and it broke, or it snapped. It snapped right back. So it's got to pound its way through that little area.
Yeah.
And it still has another 4 pips above that 73.40 area before it breaks out of that supply zone that we drew.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not going to be a straight shot up. Once it breaks, it'll probably break very strongly, I would guess to say.
Excuse me. Yeah, you see we got a hook here. This is kind of what you're looking for. When you got this kind of activity on your RSI, that's a really good sign. Because it means that it's kind of acting like a slingshot. There's too much upward pressure. So this one couldn't come out of that zone. So now you might have it hook somewhere here. We're still lower though, Al.
Lower.
Like it failed to.
Yeah.
It failed to break this.
Yeah, it came in lower than where the D was by about 2 pips or 1 pip, and then it's starting to give it up a little bit.
Yeah, but it had to connect there before it breaks through, right? You didn't expect it to just slice through that zone.
Correct. Now it is forming. We had a strong little move up there. Looking at the 1 minute, we had a strong move up. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 or 6 blue candles. One candle pullback. Now it's forming another little wedge right there at the top on the 1 minute chart.
And that's actually a really nice little wedge.
Yeah, we have the hooks.
Because
RSIs are hooking. Now, if it can close above where that, if it can close above the D, it could be a head fake, or it could be a start of a breakthrough. Right now, it is trending. Now, let's see. On the 1 minute chart, it's actually starting to make higher highs. It did, where I had
here, check this out. So you got your low, and then you got a higher low in the indicator, but you've got a low in price and a higher low in price, which generally means that there's going to be a continuation of that move.
Yeah.
That's how you would use kind of divergence or non-divergence to potentially confirm your trade. Let me see if I can try to make an alert. If I want it to see, you got your whole moving average is still green across the board. Here was the consolidation because it went 15-minute haul went red, green, red, green, 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 red. So it kept on flipping in between. Generally, if it's going to be an impulsive move, it's not going to flip. See here, your impulsive move this morning, your red, 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 green, and then up to here. So it actually flipped on this candle. So if a person follows the 15-minute hull moving average from the time it flipped, like here, from the cross of the 513.62 and that very impulsive move up, that like you'd have to be on the charts to catch that. That was very fast, very aggressive.
Let's make another run for that 73.40 area.
It's trying. I still like this trend line, even though it broke up, and then I just don't know if there's a better one. There might be one here. Not all the trend lines are going to be great, but if you don't draw them, then you'll never know. That's the fourth hit on the trend line. Well, that I kind of count that as one because it's kind of, those candles are too close together to do any of that. We're like 29 minutes. No, we're 19 minutes away from market open. So
Yeah.
Whatever's going to happen in a little bit. It could be the pre-market pullback, and then we could have a very special trading session.
It's going to be an interesting week, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you just look at the way that this has moved in the last little bit, that's a lot of movement. Key here is, excuse me, not to get overzealous, because all we need is a piece of that market. Yeah, this is pretty much stalled out until market opens, or right before market opens. Maybe we'll go see, go play around with Euro US. How about that?
Do we have any new alerts at all?
Not that I saw. I didn't get no notifications. This is gross. Anyway, let's do something without any alerts or any ideas. So if I was just looking at the market and I wanted to try to create like a setup or see where anything could be going. See, I don't like that. We're like in the middle of the move. All right, let's try this. Oh, come on. There. And then tweak it a little bit. Not yet. I don't like this too much, but let's try something. Here, we'll put a line here. See if it touches. Sliced it. There's something wrong here. It's off by so little that that'll be good enough. Just as we're waiting for something to happen on the other one.
Yeah, I'm still watching it.
Yeah, okay. Just let me know if you see something interesting or fun, or I might be able to.
I'm not sure anything's fun, but interesting might be the case.
Yeah. Well, let's play around with some trend lines. How about that? So check this. This is interesting. You see how you had this one, that hit, So it broke it, it checked it, so it knows where this trend line is, right? So if it knows where this trend line is, then you're pretty good. And then it broke it, and it came back up, and it sliced it, but it came and it bounced on it again, right? And then it bounced here, and then it took off. So it's kind of telling you, hey, I know where this trend line is, and look at this. Maybe we'll get a bounce here. Oh, let's close that down. These wicks are too big. You see how big the wicks are? They're all over the place, where you got a wick that's the size of the candle body. And then you got all these wicks coming out of both ends. It means there's a lot of indecision. A lot of people have no idea where it's going to go, and the only people that are going to know that are the ones that have the big capital that are going to move the market in the direction that they want. Nothing in Aussie US. How about Kiwi?
Looks like it's starting. The Aussie US is starting to break out and retesting the trend line, which is going to be right around the 73.20 area.
Oh yeah, that would be the bottom.
That would be the bounce off the lower trend line to confirm the trend line. It hasn't been confirmed yet.
Oh, okay.
I'll show you what I'm looking at here.
That might be fun. Yeah, I'll let you drive for a bit. Here. Stop share.
Here's what I'm looking at here with on the 1 minute chart. We did get this is where we started drawing that extra. Here's where we challenged the D, came back down, came up. Here's the wave 1, wave 2. I thought this one was a little bit higher, but came back and retested this trend line, which formed a wave 3. So this was our third wave. Now the question is where wave 4 is going to come back down. And I'm be looking at, I don't want it to really break below, use this right below where the top of wave 1 was. Especially don't want to have a break below, because wave 4 should stay in the upper part of this whole area. Now it did break, this is our 2 pip zone that we usually break, and it really didn't close below that until just right in here, where it's spacing just a little bit, but this is just before the market's starting to open again. But the wave 4 still came down to this area, but still hasn't broken the top. We have not gotten a close above where the first wave was, and right now it's retesting. I'll take this one off the way. And then I'm still looking at this thing is going to come back up and retest, break. I still think it's going to break the D here up here. But if we look at this little area right in this area, and then we get a break above here where the 3 is, this thing could go all the way up to 73.60-ish. And see if there's a fib line there. Right there's our blue fib line. Now, whether it gets up there, your guess is as good as mine. But right now, we do have a little bit of a trend going from this anchor. Here's the wave 1, near hit, came back down, near hit again. This trend line has been anchor, near hit, confirmed, pulled back. And then this would be the new break of this channel that we're looking at between the top red and the We have a little bit of a channel going on here from the bottom of the C. If you take it from the C, you could take it from the 2. Either way, it's right now you've got a trend line. And I kind of like this area right in here for where the 5 is. We have a Fibonacci line. We have a trend line. So this area right in here is, I'd say, it would be a significant energy point right in that area. And where it stops, nobody knows, but we can only project possibilities of areas where it may go. We don't know if it's going to get up there, but we also know when it does get up to those areas, it may be a place where you're going to get a bounce. I'm still looking at a break of this D area right here, which we came up with the 3, couldn't quite break it, came back down, pulled back. Now, I mean, again, it's hanging inside the supply zone. But once it breaks through that, I think it's going to go up significantly higher to possibly that area. We're looking at levels that haven't been broken or haven't been reached since back in last September, October. What I'll be curious to do is see what the stock market does when the market opens up in about another 7 minutes. Yeah, basically what we do is we wait. Let's see what happens.
Let's try this. That's another rejection of your DL.
Yep.
Surprise.
Hey, there's a high. Here's a lower high. Here's another lower high. So within this channel, that's red line. I mean, we'll change the color of this here. We have the purple line on top. We have the blue line that's been confirmed on the bottom. Here's a channel that's trading in. And we don't know when it's going to break through that.
Could be right now.
A nice little basing right here. Blue candles, one red candle, and now another blue candle. Let's see if we can pop through that. And if it can break this upper trend line, then we can use this one as our base for the trend as it goes to the upside.
Let's try that again.
Right now, we just don't know which way it's going to go. But if it does break this trend line, it's probably going to bounce off. It's probably going to be, this would be the target for the stick based on this trend, this range.
Did you guys see this question from Beach Panda in the Q&A?
I did not see it.
Let me see.
That's how we have you there, Eva.
Yeah.
I lose the chat all the time.
Yeah, I'm not sure, so I don't want to,
No, you're fine. Where is it?
I can read it out for you.
Oh, I got it now.
Okay.
Before the U.S. market opening today, and we've been waiting, is considered to be quite overreactive. I would say it's moving outside of the normal range. Overreactive, probably. When you got 5 pip 1 minute candles, that's pretty significant.
So actually, I'm having a little bit of a secondary trend line right here from where the forward is. And I've got a high, a low, a higher low, a higher high. It's somewhat respecting this line where I have where the 4 to the 5 level is. And the further out it goes, the further this one goes out to where these lines intersect. And the market is now open.
It's a short, man.
Trying to get this thing to go away here. Why is that not going away?
What's that?
That's my trade station alert setting that the market just opened up. I can't get rid of it for some reason. Why is that? There it goes. And the market is opening to the downside.
Yep. That is pretty dominant.
This is probably going to follow. That means the market's going. That means the dollar is going to get stronger.
Yeah,
temporarily.
It's weird because everyone would have thought it would have been significantly weaker. Now we're getting back to testing the 1 minute 62, and we just sliced through it. So
it still hasn't broken this 4 level yet. I have the 4. Let's see what it looks like on our higher time frames. We still have the 562 right down here below this purple trend line that has not been confirmed. We have the 1562 below as well. So the trend on this is still to the upside. We have our 5 minute or 5 period moving average still above the 13, still above the 62. So all of these on the higher time, on the 15 minute, are still in the proper direction to go long. Same way in the 5 minute, we have a green, yellow, purple, still in the same direction, and which gives me rise to think that this thing is going to be a pullback. Now, it still may come out of this supply zone, bounce off of this, and still may go up higher. But right now, I still see the Aussie still has strength on the 15 minute. We did get a little bit of a flip. This could just be a strong pullback with the market open. But I could also see this thing just bouncing right off the bottom of this and come back right on up and retest this, staying within this zone between the upper purple line and the lower purple line on the 15-minute chart, on the 5-minute chart. Some of the stuff out of the way. This thing's been broken. This one's still holding. This one's still holding. And it's sort of like this is an expanding wedge, which is a little bit interesting. But on the same token, you can still see that D has still been maintained. Just this little trend right here, which got broken, but it's retesting this. So right now we have a wedge. Just got all this stuff, close all this stuff out.
So Dow Jones just broke all-time high, I believe. Someone said.
Dow Jones did?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
I know. Someone's making a run for it.
The S&P came up, unless it broke. The S&P didn't break a new high, I don't think.
No, the S&P is tanking.
Yeah, the S&P is tanking, so why would the Dow be making new highs? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, the U.S. dollar has gained strength. It went from 0 about half an hour ago on the scale to 7. And Pedro says the market seemed to like the outcome of the elections.
Well, Wall Street was supporting Biden.
Yeah, and
now why that is, I'm not really totally clear on what their philosophy of that is, but they know things that I don't. Maybe he'll just pump more dollars into the market to keep it going.
Or something. You know what? I'm going to force it to do something.
Right now I'm looking at this as a consolidation zone between where the BD area is. I'm just flatlining that across into this supply zone. We have a slight higher low on the AC line. This one's not confirmed, but I'm just putting it right here on top of this trend line that has not been confirmed. But here's our anchor. Here's our hit. Here's our next test of the trend line. Nice little pullback here. It's got the hook. If we can get this 3-period moving average to get above the 8-period moving average, this thing's probably going to go to the upside until the blue line gets up here to the 89 area, then hooks back again. But it does seem to be making higher highs and higher lows.
All right, let's see what's up.
Hey, can you guys hear me yet?
So we're just about done with our session for the day.
Christine, very faintly we can hear you.
March.
Okay. Oh, Yeah, we can hardly hear you, Christine.
She's having issues with her mic.
I think this thing's going to break out through the bottom here. Showing some strength to the downside after that nice move up. Still looking at this box where the alert came in. If it breaks out of the bottom, it could be coming down to test that 30. There's a nice drop. Here's a little basing. This is on the 5-minute drop. Base could be another drop down to retest this area, which is right at the bottom where this stick is.
Yeah, look at that thing go.
Yep.
You know what? It was a very good sign when it couldn't break that D.
Yeah, we couldn't break the D. It came up, tested it a couple times. Couldn't break it. Now it's retesting this lower part of the wedge. We had our moving averages. Our RSI was all the way up here with 75 on this where the B hit. That would have been the high, and now we could be looking at this maybe where we have this trend line from the A. If we bring it all the way over here to where the alert was, this was a head fake. Came back up. It went up, formed a triangle right in here. Now, if it can break, this was a head fake. Couldn't close below. Couldn't close below the A. And now we have the A, but that. Now, of course, this is to come back down, retest our 62 right here. Our 5-minute 62 is right where these two are converging.
And Matt, would you call that an energy spot?
Can barely hear you, Christine.
Yeah,
but we'll fix that later.
So, but right now I'm looking at it's about 9:45. It's time to give this thing up for the day, and we will see everybody tomorrow.
See you all tomorrow.
Stay green, and hope we all learned something today.